Uniswap v4 is going to make future millionaires from DeFi liquidity pools. Just make sure you watch until the end of the video. Now we have a few resources that were put out by the Uniswap team when they announced the release of Uniswap v4. Now to be clear, Uniswap v4 is not released quite yet, although they have put out their plan for Uniswap v4, and we're going to go over that so that way you guys can be prepared for when it is released. And if you guys don't know what Uniswap is, or you're not familiar with Uniswap v3, where you can concentrate your liquidity in liquidity pools, I really recommend you take a look at one of the v3 videos on my channel. I'm gonna go ahead and leave one up in the cards as well if you guys do want to check that out. But the whole basis behind Uniswap is that you can trade one asset for another asset on a decentralized network. So for example, you'll just connect your decentralized wallet to Uniswap exchange and you can swap, let's just say, 1 Ethereum for USDC, or you can go and swap your USDC for OV token, and so on and so forth. You can swap any asset for any asset if they have a liquidity pool together. Now on this swap, I'm going to lose about 0.05%, which is very, very little, but that's the fee that I'm going to be paying to the liquidity providers. So this is a very simple concept. There's something called a liquidity pool, and then there's two different functions to this liquidity pool. There's the trader side of things, and then there's the liquidity provider side of things. So the liquidity provider puts their capital into the liquidity pool. Maybe they're putting up ETH and USDC, and the trader is going to go trade from this liquidity pool. So let's just say the trader wants to trade 1 Ethereum and get USDC. They're going to put their 1 Ethereum into this liquidity pool, and they're going to take out however much USDC 1 Ethereum is worth. But the thing is, they're going to leave a small portion in the liquidity pool, which is a fee, and that fee is going to be paid to the liquidity provider. So essentially, liquidity providers are allowing transactions to happen on the Uniswap platform, and in return, they're getting paid a small fee that starts to add up. Keep in mind, Uniswap is the second largest decentralized exchange with the total liquidity amount of over $3.7 billion. And they have a daily volume of around $1 billion, which obviously starts to add up for those liquidity providers. But the first resource I want to take a look at in regards to Uniswap v4 is over here on Twitter. The official Uniswap Labs page tweeted out this. Today we're announcing the vision for Uniswap v4. The main feature behind Uniswap v4 is something called hooks, which are essentially plugins for your liquidity pools. They said hooks add an entirely new functionality to pools, such as dynamically adjusting fees or creating new different types of orders. They also went ahead and took the liberty to write a few different sample hooks. That includes a time-weighted average market maker, a customized on-chain oracles, as well as on-chain limit orders. So you can consider these like the stock hooks, and hooks can be anything a developer wants them to be. Obviously, in order to create a hook, you're going to need to know how to code a smart contract, but I imagine that we're going to have plenty of different smart contract developers in this space, as well as plenty of different just businesses in DeFi applications that end up making hooks for Uniswap v4 to implement into liquidity pools. I went ahead and had ChatGPT analyze Uniswap v4 and come up with a few different hook ideas. Number one is a dynamic fee adjustment. This would essentially allow Uniswap v4 pools to adjust the fee tier that they are in depending on market conditions. So for example, if there's a lot of volatility, you can have your pool be automatically adjusted to collect a higher fee. That way you make up for the volatility. You could also do on-chain limit orders, which would essentially execute trades at specific prices. There's also time-weighted average market makers, which we talked about. This would essentially be a market maker that spreads out large orders over time to minimize the price impact. So instead of just selling a big bag of $1 million, it might sell $100,000 every single day for 10 days. That's what a time-weighted average market maker would be. Customized on-chain oracles could be created. That's mainly for the developers out there and different projects that want to implement oracles into their DeFi project. It could also deposit out-of-range liquidity into lending pools. So for example, hooks can facilitate the use of liquidity that is not currently in range for swaps in other ways, like depositing it into lending protocols. So maybe let's just say your liquidity goes out of range. You can have a hook that automatically deposits your liquidity into OV until it goes back in range, then it will withdraw it from OV and put it back into Uniswap. Or I imagine that you can create a hook that would automatically rearrange your liquidity depending on certain factors. That being said, there's also auto compounding of liquidity provider fees back into the LP positions. So with Uniswap right now, you have to manually collect your fees and then go ahead and deposit them back into the liquidity pool. However, with hooks, you can now have your fees automatically be claimed and compounded back into the position. And of course, they can even distribute MEV profits back to liquidity providers, which is pretty awesome because there's tons of MEV bots that run on Uniswap that collect a good load of profits. Now these bots can actually distribute those profits back to liquidity providers. This would obviously bring in an additional source of yield as opposed to just the fees that you're earning. And of course, remember, these are just examples of what hooks can do. Hooks can be practically anything because they can be custom coded. Essentially, what Uniswap v4 is implementing here is the ability to customize your liquidity pools to the full extent and do anything you want with them. They've also made some improvements to the efficiency of transactions, so v4 pools will live in a single contract instead of multiple smart contracts. contracts. It used to be with Uniswap, whenever you would enter into a liquidity pool with the range, it would be a brand new smart contract with a brand new NFT, so on and so forth. But the thing is, that cost a lot of money in gas fees, especially on the Ethereum network, to actually get into a liquidity position. However, with Uniswap v4, it now all lives in a single contract, which reduces the cost of pool creation by 99%, which means that people that might not have as much capital can now start investing into liquidity pools on the Ethereum network, because the transaction fees will be significantly lower. They also implemented something called flash accounting, which number one helps with slippage, number two helps with gas cost, and of course makes things much more efficient. Essentially, in Uniswap v3, so previously, assets are transferred in and out of pools. So if you put in $100, you take out $100. However, with the flash accounting system in v4, transfers are only on net balances. So instead of conducting multiple individual transfers for each swap, the system will basically calculate the final balance, the net balance, and just execute one single transfer. And this is all made possible because everything lives in one single contract. So instead of Uniswap swapping your Ethereum for USDC, then swapping your USDC for DAI, and then so on and so forth, it'll just simply swap your Ethereum to DAI. So it won't make multiple transactions by swapping USDC for DAI and so on and so forth. It just swaps it for DAI. Makes it very, very easy. There's not as many transfers. It's just one single transaction. So this is a random transaction right here where somebody exchanged 16 Ethereum for 27,000 USDT. But in this case, you can see the V3 model, it swaps 16 Ethereum for 27,000 USDC, and then it swaps 27,000 USDC for 27,000 USDT. So with V4, what it will simply do is just swap 16 Ether for 27,000 USDT while still having the same exact route. So it essentially just cuts out the double swap, and it just swaps it directly for that asset, but still uses all the liquidity pools. That's going to wrap up today's video on Uniswap v4. This is a complete game changer for those that are wanting to provide liquidity in DeFi. Remember, we do have a free Uniswap v3 guide down below in the description, and when Uniswap v4 is released, we will be making a guide on that, as well as publishing a ton of videos. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on. There's a ton of value in this Uniswap v3 guide, including how to discover Uniswap v3 pools that pay a lot of money, how to hedge against impermanent loss like a pro, and of course how to rebalance your pools with confidence when they go out of range. If you enjoyed, once again, drop a like, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.